I've been involved in the design team for CPP, so for the last year I've been involved in the meetings about rethinking the course for the new curriculum. I was at some of the Have Your Say events and things, and I suppose just that helped create a network of kind of staff and students being a part of it as much of the staff. Was a really kind of clear thing that felt like it was a very supportive environment to help people understand the changes that were happening, and also to encourage each other to take kind of bold steps forward as well.
I was the student member on the BMUS programme design team, and I occasionally sat on CRPG with the Curriculum Reform Project Group. I now know most of the teaching faculty for the BMUS and most of the School of Drama because of being involved in this. And it's nice to know that we're not alone in the problems that we face. It happens to everybody, and I think that that's given me a little bit more faith, if anything, in the fact that we can work through it and that the end product will still be of the high standard.
Well, I've been involved in the student consultation and also the review of all of the degree programmes. So my involvement's been for the last few years really, most recently sitting on the panels with all of the conveners to really give a fair student perspective to all of the programmes. I did have to read them all, which was quite an arduous task, but it was really interesting to read it from student eyes, but also from someone that's seen how they've developed and how they've been designed. For me, the workshop sessions were really important because there were often quite a few decisions that needed to be made that were tricky decisions that maybe didn't immediately sit well with everybody involved, but it was great to have the workshop sessions to work through them as a group to ensure that everyone's perspective was heard. It meant that there was a lot of discussions in designing the programmes, people advising one another, people admitting their strengths and their weaknesses and helping each other along the way, which I think is positive for all of the staff and the students involved really. It's important that we have that kind of community where people feel safe and supported as well.
Collaboration is always something that's happened in the building just because there's always been so many different people working on different things. I think what's great about the new curriculum is that these are now part of the curriculum, they're part of the institution from a very basic level. From your first module when you first come in, you start to learn about collaboration and choice and how you can collaborate together. I think it's going to affect students in a positive way and make them, on a kind of realistic level, more employable and more able to work together in new ways and develop new ways of working.
Before we've sort of existed a little bit separately maybe, and a lot of the collaborations came through friendships, which is really great, but it's fantastic to have a bit of space and time in the new curriculum and support from staff and from the resources to be able to work on some really interesting projects, not just in your own departments, but with others from out the Conservatoire. So that's really good. I think also the new structure seems to give more space for like reflection. Sometimes we get a bit bogged down with always practicing or studying, and it's great to sometimes look back, and that's a really worthwhile experience to be able to see where you are, what you're doing and where you need to go next. It's a really fresh outlook for everybody, which I think is really positive.
The ways in which you're taught in first year will be much different, in as much as there's going to be a lot more seminar work. From my experience on the current BMUS course is that that's the best way to really get your teeth into a subject. When we have our seminars in history, it was always a fantastic way to get talking, and we never stayed on the topic, we always talked around it, and that was the inspiration really for the Music and Contemporary Society module, which is a new module, and that'll allow students to really develop a feeling of what they want to do and why they're here and what sort of artist they're going to be.
And I was part of one programme, but I kind of got a glimpse of what was happening through the whole institution, and it was such a mammoth task, and it took such commitment from kind of everyone, I think, to really run with things that were just being thrown at them, big changes that they had to kind of get their heads around. And I think what's come out of it is something really positive. It's a much clearer journey now for students moving through the programme, from kind of discovering yourself as an artist and then discovering what your place in the world is as an artist, really.
It's been great to have a real good insight and a thorough insight into what it exactly is that all of the other courses do, and just how fantastic the opportunities offered are. Having been on the music courses before myself, I had a really great knowledge of those, but more of a general knowledge of the other programmes, and it's been really interesting to hear exactly what the students can expect, and it looks really exciting for the next year.
Every meeting that I went to was always focused on the student. It was, what do the students want and how will that enhance them as artists? It was always that way around, and I think it would be an absolute travesty if it were any other way. I think that that's the way to do it, and of course that's never going to be perfect. You're always going to have to compromise in order to make it fit. But knowing that that thought was there, it means that the delivery and the quality of the teaching is really going to shine through this new curriculum.